There was a video on this channel from last year where I was talking about how none of the Colonel's family is involved in Kentucky Fried Chicken today. I was wearing a white suit. There was a lot of trolls in that comment section, and I didn't really speak very clearly back then, so I'm going to remake that video now in my new outfit. So none of the Colonel's family is involved in Kentucky Fried Chicken today. The last Sanders that was involved in Kentucky Fried Chicken was James Wilbur Sanders, the Colonel's nephew, my great-grandfather Charles' brother. He was a Columbus, Indiana franchise owner for a number of years, and when the Colonel died in 1980, Uncle Jim took over being the brand ambassador for a short time before telling KFC to shove it, and KFC ended up firing him. Lee was also involved in Kentucky Fried Chicken. He worked his way up from the beginning of the company to 1964 in the sale to Brown and Macy. He worked his way up to president before leaving and starting Lee's. The Colonel's grandson, Harlan Adams, was the vice president of Kentucky Fried Chicken up until when Lee left in 1964. After that, I don't know if Harlan Adams stayed in the company or not, but what I do know is that John Y. Brown Jr. took over being president. He assumed position of president of KFC. Lee's wife, Jean, ran a Kentucky Fried Chicken when the Colonel was alive, and during the time that Lee had Lee's famous recipe chicken going. Uncle Harley made sure that Jean had his original recipe being served out of that restaurant. Whether he gave them 99X like he gave the 200 franchisees at KFC that Mary and Kate Spices got in trouble for supplying for a number of years, I don't know, but what I do know from Lee's daughter is that her mother, Jean, did have the original recipe coming out of that Kentucky Fried Chicken up until 1980. After the Colonel died, they still operated that Kentucky Fried Chicken. Lee started running it with Jean, and he was actually selling his recipe out of that KFC. Other members of the family did franchise with Kentucky Fried Chicken, but as the changes continued, more family left. Margaret was in charge of the Florida franchises, I believe. I'm not sure when she quit, but she more so liked to be known for her sculpting skills. And I'm not sure of Mildred's involvement in Kentucky Fried Chicken, but there's a restaurant over in the UK called Miss Millie's Awesome Chicken, which mascot is based off of her, and one of the Colonel's grandchildren helped a former KFC executive over in the UK start that after the changes were being made in the 80s. My grandpa Charles tried working at Kentucky Fried Chicken with Uncle Harley, but it didn't work out and he went to be a barber, just like his father, Clarence Sanders, who was the Colonel's brother. So pretty much by the 80s, my entire family was out of Kentucky Fried Chicken by choice. I did have some cousins that were forced out of stocks when PepsiCo bought out them, but I don't know much about that. But there you go. We're not involved in KFC.